Two contemporary-looking black males in designer underwear being auctioned off, and they seem like they are being sold as slaves since they are bound by their necks. The film flashes back to the beginning. It centers on two estranged half-brothers from the West Indies named Régis and Joel Grodessier, who lead quite different lifestyles. A black guy of one race named Joel recently got out of jail after spending time stealing an elderly woman's pocketbook. He currently resides with his mother and daughter. He has a history of being unemployed and attributes his problems, including his unemployment, to racism. He has never made a genuine effort to get employment. Régis is a guy of mixed race. His daughter, who is 9 years old, he is well integrated into the upper-class culture and lives in a wealthy town. Régis works as the mayor's assistant in the town hall where he resides. Régis' uncle calls him one day to let him know that his father is dying and that his last desire is to see all of his children one more time. Régis, however, does not care about his absent father because he was not around when Régis was a youngster. His insane wife then threatens to get slept with other guys if he doesn't give his father one final visit before they sit down to supper. He then continues to enjoy dinner with his family. Régis flies to his father's home in his hometown the next day. He meets Joel, who is also visiting their father. The brothers, who haven't spoken in over a decade, put aside their disagreements and decide to take a cab together. Régis is completely honest with Joel about his successful life, whilst Joel hides his failures to avoid looking foolish. When they get to their father's house, they meet their aunt and a few half-sisters. Turns out that their dad traveled the world and interacted with several women. This explains the disparity in skin tones between Joel and Régis. The elderly man's eyes shine as he sees his two sons. He promises Régis and Joel that they will inherit a huge treasure before passing away. The brothers are excited and eager to learn more about the riches. To their surprise, they only get a record of their ancestors' liberation as a legacy. A few slaves receive this paper from their owners in exchange for doing an exceptional deed. Slavery was abolished in the West Indies long before Régis and Joel's forefathers acquired freedom. Unconcerned with the symbolic significance of the document, in front of their late father's sister, they mockingly rip the paper up. This infuriates the elderly woman as she should, so she proceeds to discipline the brats. They are sent back in time to the 17th century, when slavery is still common. When Régis and Joel awaken in the following scene, they find themselves in an open field wearing just their fancy underwear. A few black folks who are running away in fear pass the two as they are left wondering what occurred. Two other slave hunters show up and seize the Grodessier brothers. They are brought to a slave market and sold to a landowner named Monsieur Jourdan. Joel is put to work in the farms under the supervision of Henri, a cruel and virulently racist supervisor, while Régis is sent to the residence's kitchens by Jourdan. The half-brothers soon realize that they have truly traveled back to 1780 when slavery is still practiced. The slaves are made to listen to a priest read from a phony Bible the next day as he instructs the black people on how to submit to the whites. However, since only the Grodessier brothers and the white people can read, they disagree with the information. Even the priest is taken aback when Régis reads him a passage from the book. Later that day, Joel arrives late to the game and is struck by Henri. Joel attempts to flee the farm since he is sick of Henri's abuse and behavior but ends up striking his head on a pole and passing out as a result. He receives a public scourging for his deeds. Régis is summoned to Monsieur Jourdan's office that evening when his aptitude for reading is recognized. He receives praise from Jourdan for being a clever slave and is given the authority to rule the other slaves alongside Henri. Rosalie, a female slave, is tending to Joel's wounds in the interim. Joel has only known her for 5 minutes, yet he immediately seems to like her. He moves in for a kiss at the perfect time, but she declines. Joel is disappointed when Rosalie subsequently confesses her love for Isidore, a fellow slave. The following day, Régis starts doing his new task and instructing and directing other slaves to perform their tasks. Joel reprimands his brother for being egotistical and for being like the white people in the neighborhood. Régis is unconcerned and remains obedient to his new employers, reporting to Monsieur Jourdan on his progress throughout the day. When the white family eventually learns that Régis can read, they all start making fun of him. They also make fun of his piano. To everyone's astonishment, Régis is an excellent pianist. However, the whites brutally lash him as a result of this. Régis finally has had enough and decides he wants out. The next morning, the two brothers surreptitiously board Isaac, a Jewish man, to leave the plantation. When they arrive at his home, Isaac approaches them and admits that he was aware of their presence the entire time. The brothers plead for his pity, but to their astonishment, Isaac shows them tremendous hospitality and care because Jews are also targets of prejudice. The assassins of Monsieur Jourdan soon show up at Isaac's house looking for the two brothers. Régis and Joel bid Isaac goodnight and leave through the back door, but before they could be apprehended, they travel to the coast, where they board a broken-down boat and head out to sea. In a funny turn of events, they encounter a ship that is used to take slaves to auctions, get apprehended, and are then put in jail. The Grodessier brothers eventually find themselves in the same slave market, where Jourdan's goons purchase them. Fortunately, an African group known as the Maroons rescues the brothers on their trip back to the plantation. It is now clear that the tribe's members were all slaves at some point before their exodus from their masters. The two are embraced by the tribe and start chanting alongside the chief. Regis, who is married to a white woman, chooses not to chant when the Maroons discuss killing white people. The tribe is incensed by this and rapidly turns against the brothers. Thankfully, Regis and Joel can escape the tribe and make it to safety. The two discover themselves in an unfamiliar location the following day where they see their aunt, who casts a spell over them. The brothers quickly conclude that she was the one who sent them back in time. They beg her to break the curse and say they will do everything to get it. The elderly grandmother initially rejects the brothers' request, but as they persist, she gives them a hint. She informs them that to rejoin Isidore and Rosalie and return to the present, they must return to the plantation. Without going into greater detail, she also instructs them to rectify the problem. The woman tells the brothers to smoke her unique pipe when they have successfully performed their job before departing. Joel recalls seeing what seemed to be Isidore having oral sex with another guy as the two are discussing possible solutions to the problem. On his phone, he also captured a video of the event, which he presents to Regis. Isidore is subsequently persuaded to be gay, and the two brothers incorrectly think that this is the error that they are meant to correct. Joel and Regis return to the plantation in the following scene. They attempt to bargain with Monsieur Jourdan about their penalty, but their efforts are unsuccessful. They then go back to their huts and start formulating their strategy. The whites are celebrating the wedding party of Monsieur Jourdan's daughter inside the mansion at the same time. The brothers plan their celebration for the slaves, using this as the ideal diversion. To get drunk and start the relationship between Isidore and Rosalie, they steal a barrel of rum from the distillery. However, their plot is derailed when Regis witnesses Joel making out with Rosalie as a result of his crush on her. After that, while the couple is sound sleeping, the two brothers improvise and provide a hand. They are certain that their objective has been completed once this is done. The brothers plan to exact revenge on the whites since they think they may return home whenever they want. They enter the mansion and humiliate everybody within. Joel embraces Monsieur Jourdan's daughter, while Regis begins destroying furniture and even smacks a white guy. Henri suddenly enters the room with a revolver and threatens the brothers. Regis and Joel still use the pipe without any symptoms of dread. Unfortunately, nothing occurs when they smoke it. The magical pipe that the elderly woman gave seems to have been replaced with a regular pipe. They are imprisoned in a cage for their actions and will be put to death the next day. The brothers experience emotional outbursts that evening and begin to reflect on their decisions. In contrast to Joel's admission that he is destitute and jobless, Regis talks about his deteriorating marriage. After a while, the brothers are still commiserating with one another until Henri shows up and leads them to the field where they would be hanged. But just before the execution, Victor, Monsieur Jourdan's son, flees into the woods because he can't stand to see the scene. Rosalind runs after him and discovers that he has fallen into the neighboring river as she pursues him. Family members scramble to the site in a state of terror. Isidore, however, takes advantage of the commotion and saves the brothers while also putting Henri to sleep. Then he commands them to flee for their lives, and they comply. Victor is being washed away by the creek as the brothers are on the run when they come upon him. The two leap into the roiling river without a second thought. But Joel can't swim, which surprises Regis. This makes his job considerably more challenging, yet he still succeeds in saving both his brother and Victor. Monsieur Jourdan releases the brothers because he is grateful to them for saving his son's life. The identical deed of emancipation that their late father gave to them is likewise granted to the half-brothers. They ask Monsieur Jourdan to release Isidore and Rosalie and provide them with the papers, however they don't accept their release or the prize. The monsieur thinks the request to be quite odd, but he nonetheless complies. The brothers have freed Isidore and Rosalie in this fashion, but they are still searching for the magical pipe that will allow them to travel back to the present. As the days go by, they gradually come to terms with the possibility that they may never go back to their time. Isidore and Rosalind bid the brothers farewell one day and depart the estate with the paperwork. Henri approaches them and tells them to return to their job while the two stand back and watch them go. Then he pulls out his pipe and lights up. Henri is shocked when the brothers mysteriously vanish after he attempts to embarrass them by blowing smoke in their faces. The boys return to the present in the following scene, when they find their aunt standing next to them. Regis and Joel are relieved to see her clutching the original paper in her hand. Joel obtains regular work on a construction site, but he continues to gripe about his low pay and claims that it is because he is black. Regis resumes his duties at the town hall. One day, as he prepares to leave the workplace, the mayor welcomes him and tells a racial joke. Regis, who is no longer the same person he once was, chooses to disagree with the mayor before leaving. The action then shifts to Regis, his wife, Joel, and Joel's mother conversing in Regis' living room. The two concur that their experience strengthened their bond as a family. However, their respective daughters' quarrel results in the emancipation papers being torn.